Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
-10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
Another Starbase Weekly live stream. Happy to be here with y'all this week. It's been a few weeks since the last time I was on the show, so always happy to come back after a little bit of a break, a little bit unplanned this time, so sorry about that. Thanks to Alex for joining me today. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Zach. It's always a pleasure to be here, especially when you're hosting. So
Yeah, I was kind of freaking out last time because had some things that I wanted to talk about on the show that may have made a fool of myself a little bit if I said some of that stuff incorrectly related to a lot of the GSE stuff. And I was like messaging you in the background. I was like, Alex, you're gonna be here, and I got left alone.
yeah, sorry about that. Life got away from me.
It's all good. Appreciate you being here today. And we will have Matt handling questions today. So Matt, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Always happy to be here and ready for another great weekend of Starbase info.
And we have had issues in the past with people not being able to hear you, so I'll make sure everybody in the chat can hear you. And just as a reminder to everybody, if you have questions, you can ask us using the exclamation questions followed by your question. I'm sure most of you know that by now, but always good to reiterate that for anybody who may be joining us for the first time. And yeah, we have a ton to cover today. As always, with over the last few months, these images are taken from a lower altitude than we have in the past, which makes things just a lot clearer and, able to see many more details than we were able to in the past. So I'm always excited to see these each area of the site from a lower altitude. It really just helps a ton when you're trying to analyze things. In this week, I think we're gonna also cover an area that we don't normally go to, just because Mauricio does flyovers of the port pretty much every week. But now that we know that Starbase is going to have some sort of interaction with the LNG facility, I think we'll go ahead and start there. I'm sure this was probably covered in the previous weeks, but I think it's worth revisiting it today. And the funny thing about this is during the Flight 10 live stream on the Lab Padre channel, I got many questions about this facility and if there was any chance that SpaceX would end up doing some sort of pipeline or, getting methane supplied from this facility. And I listed off all the things that would be necessary in order to make that happen, but I also said that I didn't think it was likely. And sure enough, the very next week we found out that that is most likely going to happen. So with that said, I think this area does become a little bit more relevant, and therefore it's worth us taking a look at it. They're making a ton of progress. And one thing I didn't know about this was that this is actually 2 different facilities. I can't remember the name of the second one, but I thought all of this was owned by the same operator, but apparently it's 2 separate entities. But yeah, this is really cool to just watch all this progress. They're cranking away, and I feel like they still have a very long way to go, but they're making just tons of progress right now. Yeah, really cool this week. They actually raised the roof on this first storage tank, which Alex and I were talking about before the show. I was like sitting here looking at it, like how did they raise this thing? Because I know that these cranes are nowhere near large enough to raise this. Some LNG or some storage tanks in the oil and gas industry, they're like floating tops. I don't think that's the correct term for it, but they basically raise and lower with the level of the fluid that they're holding. So a lot of times if you fly over the storage facilities, you can tell how much reserve they're holding based on the where the lids are at. But as Alex was saying this morning, that's not what's going on here. So Alex, did you want to explain how they were able to raise the roof on this?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. They just bring in a couple of compressors and slowly pump air into the bottom, and it just sort of floats up like a piston. And how it keeps from binding along the sides, I have no idea. But it doesn't really take that much pressure to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I suppose you would definitely want something like this to be airtight, but it is hard to imagine something this big being airtight like that. But I mean, I guess if it wasn't, you'd get leaks. So yeah, pretty crazy though to actually raise this just using air pressure alone. And you know, from my experience in the oil and gas industry, I did kind of expect this to be a floating top, although with cryogenic LNG, I guess that doesn't necessarily make very much sense. So it actually looks like they're probably going to be. The reason they raised this was because this is going to be its permanent position. So if we actually like look closely to it, you can see all these studs on the roof right here. So they're actually going to be. This is basically a concrete roof with the bottom of it being steel. So, Alex, do you know how they'll actually, like, how do you form this so that it doesn't slope or it doesn't sag down like as you're pouring it?
You'll use a fairly stiff mix, and you'll go around the perimeter so it'll set slightly, and then you'll just do concentric circles as you come further.
Working your way in.
Yeah, and you can tell by those pipes sticking up, it's going to be a fairly thick pour. Since, yeah. And the one thing is these large tanks, they pretty much operate right at atmospheric pressure, so there's not a lot of, other than the liquid, there's not a lot of force on the walls or anything.
Right. Do you think they'll have to put formwork of any kind up here?
Nah, I think they're just going to use that lid as pretty much the form, just encase it. Because once the rebar and the concrete sets a little bit, the concrete will be the strengths holding it together.
Right. So is it one monolithic pour then?
Yeah, you don't want to. And the one thing I'm curious is if they'll put any sort of interior jacks or if the lid is strong enough to be self-supporting for the pour.
Well, if there was any jacks, how would they hold it in position? Because you'd have to access the inside, and then you'd release that air pressure, right?
Yeah, but I think they first weld the perimeter.
Okay, welded around because the inner wall is steel as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then because if you look at the other one, there's a fairly sizable access right there on the lower, just to the right. You can see the access port, so it's fairly substantial from ground level in.
Right. How come that access port isn't visible on the other one? 'Cause, I mean, obviously it's closed, but that
Maybe
should
it's a
have been on.
scaffold right
Oh,
there.
right here.
Yeah, I think the scaffold. Yeah, it's probably right where the scaffold tower is.
Okay. Actually, that looks like it's just a scaffolding around one of these.
Okay. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's pretty odd. So let's see if I can put both of them in the same image. Okay, so it should have been over here then, somewhere over here.
Right. Magic. Probably where that cutout is at like 2 o'clock. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. But it doesn't have the burnt rim or anything that the other side has.
Yeah. One of the other things you mentioned before the show is that they have all these piles that they're storing up. Uh,
Yeah, they've been driving those along the bank or where the pier for the offload or onload station. Yeah, for those where there's one right by the tank that's jutting out.
Where?
Between the two tanks along the shores, there's that white
This one?
right no, right to the right of it, the large one.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. You can sort of see the piles right
okay.
there.
Yeah, so there's like 2 rows of them going here.
Oh yeah, it's like Swiss cheese.
Wow. So where else are they gonna? Oh, you got another one over here. Do these need to extend out?
Yeah, they'll probably dredge after they and build a bit of a probably sheet pile wall so that because those are the two loading stations,
Okay.
and I believe they're going to have 2 more because they're scheduled at least for 4 of those large tanks.
4 of these?
Yeah, I think
Wow.
one's phase 2. I think they're going to have 9 or 10 liquefaction trains.
I wonder where those other ones are gonna go.
Right in those 2 staging areas, I believe.
Here?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is right here. You have a sheet pile wall right here.
Yeah, that's a good question. Because it looks like there's some angle, yeah, piling up.
These are for the next tanks right here.
It looks like it.
Yeah, if you look in between the two big tanks now, there's another little square right in the middle.
Ah, okay. So then, yeah. Then this
Yeah.
is 1, 2 right here.
Yeah, and it looks like they're starting to stage some of those piles just to the far right upper corner.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is insane. Are they? And they're not expanding over to here too. That's not like another phase of it, right?
I'm not sure because it looks like they're filling that in with some of the dredging spoils.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, especially push for sending the natural gas to Europe.
Right.
Kal-El was
insane.
wondering if he could get a little clarification if this is a generation plant or is it a transfer station?
Transfer. There's 2 very large natural gas pipelines, and I think it's 2 different companies
Operator.
are providing. Yeah, 2 operators. and their only job here is for purifying, liquefying, and loading.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing, and they still have to expand. I think they're so you have these two.
Those trains.
Yeah, so this is part of the liquefaction process, right?
Yeah, the gas go in because you're liquefying it and boiling it a couple different times to
Purify.
condense out, and to purify it. It's just the cleanup stages.
And then do you think there'll be, so it looks like there's at least one more down here, and I think maybe another one in the staging area eventually.
Yeah, I think there's one even
In the
between
middle?
right there. Yeah,
Yeah, this one's weird because it's a little different than the others as far as the foundation.
right. And yeah, its shape and everything else is substantially different.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more reading up on this thing so I can speak more about what each part of it, how it actually works. But yeah, very, very interesting to be able to actually see all this from basically ground up. Because Mauricio's been taking pictures of this area for probably 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so amazing progress. Cool. All right, we'll go ahead and move over to the Massie site where we're going to spend a ton of time because there is just so much to cover this week. Really cool seeing these images from far away from those who actually this one's even better. So you can see all the way to the highway here. This would have been nice a few weeks ago to have this image actually. But yeah, really, really cool just seeing the long distance view of Massey's, so you can get an idea of how far away it is from the highway. But yeah, amazing shots this week. And as all of you know, we're SpaceX is in the process of repairing everything that was damaged from that explosion with ship 36. And yeah, they're making some great progress right now. I guess we'll go ahead and start over at the flame trench area. Looking down into the trench, you can see that I think they made the least progress down here. There's still a ton left to do for them. It's really weird seeing this pile of debris down here, which is still left over from ship 36. I'm surprised they haven't removed all of this yet.
Yeah, some of it might be also the deluge pipes that they're cutting.
Mm,
No, they're unless they're prying them out, they look a little too large. Never mind.
yeah, too flat as well.
Yeah.
But still some crazy damage down here, especially we were talking about with the wall this morning. You can see that it's kind of like bulged out a little bit, so that's interesting. I'm surprised it even has the ability to do that because this wall goes down very deep. So it's weird that it had the ability to do this. So I think you were saying that it most likely this happened from the very beginning.
Yeah, because when they're doing that clamshell, a lot of times these diaphragm walls aren't the finished
Perfectly straight.
product.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like the not the CFA piles, but the other piles they were doing at Pad 1, where you're just dropping a digger down, so any sort of wobble as it goes will telegraph through.
Yeah.
And this is also probably close to a meter wide, so these excursions and the big picture probably aren't that big of a deal. But hopefully they'll put cladding like they're doing on the new trench at Pad 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome being able to see this angle. This is only in the last few weeks have we started getting images from this angle. So it's really cool that Mauricio was able to fly in this direction, basically skirting the line of the border to Mexico. But yeah, really awesome to see this angle. Another thing over here that we can see is the sliding platform. Looks like they're starting to work on this. Really odd the way they're doing this. I did kind of expect that they would basically redo the whole thing, so break out all of the concrete, but it looks like they're only doing just patchwork on it. Any idea, Alex, why they're not just doing the whole thing?
I'm actually pretty shocked of this development as well. I'm assuming there's a lot more distance than it looks to crawl underneath it and inspect it, but from the looks of it, it's fairly thick pore.
Yeah, I
But
think I think I have another image right here that may show it little bit better. I'd
yeah,
say
or that
maybe just about a foot thick, maybe 6 inches, something like that.
yeah, it's probably a foot in places because this was a corrugated deck.
Yeah, and they did go all the way down to the deck there. So basically, just breaking all that out, and then they'll fill it in, and then they got to do the same down here because I know this area was um, damaged as well.
And it looks like it had the brunt of burning on it. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's the one thing is concrete's a pretty fabulous insulator. So at least the top deck probably didn't affect the substructure.
right.
But
Yeah,
that edge beam kind of looks like it has a little warp to it, but that might just be the discoloration.
yeah, I think that's just discoloration. Surprised they haven't like cleaned up all the debris from this yet.
Oh, they've done a lot of weird things. There's the burnt out excavator by the flare stack and the
Oh yeah, that's still
crane.
there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and one of the other things they're gonna have to do still, it appears, is replace the rack and pinion motors right here on both sides, which they still have not removed those yet. So still got some work to do as far as that goes, but I imagine that might be a fairly quick process. I do wonder still if they'll have to remove this in order to get those out. Um,
or install the new one. Well, what's interesting is from the legs at Sanchez, it looks like the lower support for the new gantry is going to be located pretty much right there where the drives were.
right. Actually, I mean, they're fairly. We can see on the. Grab a different image.
Yeah,
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 they're
you're right.
fairly wide. So I think it would go just past it to
They'll
like
be
right here.
protected.
Yeah.
They'll be protected by it. Yeah.
Yeah, and with how thick these frames are, I do have a feeling that we'll see some sort of cladding on this. Um, Given the way they're protecting everything else, I can only imagine that they'll probably do some sort of shielding on this. At least I hope so.
Yeah, those decks will probably be poured steel, just like the sliding platform.
Right. Yeah, wasn't kind of expecting that they would start these soon, considering they already brought them out here. They haven't brought the actual vertical supports yet, so a bit curious what they're waiting for on that. But I do imagine that I don't know, maybe it would get in the way of some of the things they're doing down here, especially if they for some reason have to actually lift this platform off of here. Um, uh, Honestly, I do wonder if they would even be able to do that with the cranes that they have currently, because I imagine with the concrete on this, it's pretty heavy. But I don't know if that would exceed the capacity of this crane or not. Um,
In in this configuration, the 11K wouldn't be
oh
able to.
wow, yeah, I completely forgot that that's over there.
Yeah, They'd
Yeah,
yeah the one at the launch site with its weight tray
would
would
probably be more
probably
ideal. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I'll go back to these images here. Yeah, so really cool. You can see just the amount of work that they've done in this area. They do have all of this conduit coming out of the ground, which will go to that gantry. And then we can see some awesome progress on the bunker, which is probably almost excessive, I want to say. Like, look how thick these walls are. That I would say these are impenetrable almost when it comes to what they could possibly experience as far as a similar event happening. These are probably some of the thickest walls at Starbase, next to the actual blast protection walls that are at Pad B, protecting the deluge farm. These are extremely thick walls. I want to say they're probably about 2.5, almost 3 feet thick, just based on this guy right here. Maybe 2 feet. Yeah, that's about 3. Yeah, so very thick walls, and you can tell obviously that they're going to have the roof over this. But more importantly, they've started to put some of the mechanical equipment in here. We did see these at the Sanchez site, staged at the Sanchez site last week, and they've finally moved them into here. And I think they still got more to install, but they have at least started to bring in that equipment. And this is really cool. You can see from this angle, tons of work that they've done this week. Gotten a lot of pipes in the actual trench. So we have the liquid oxygen, liquid methane. I'm guessing this is the methane bleed. And then,
they might be collecting the
liquid oxygen.
Yeah.
So
press lines.
Similar to what they have done at Pad B, which I don't know if we have actually talked about yet. But instead of having your, let me show it from this angle right here. I guess it's gone. So they did have the collection for the liquid oxygen from the chill down process would basically be vented off in this area. So it seems like they're no longer going to be doing that, more than likely, and they'll actually collect it and send it back somewhere else. So that's probably what we're seeing here. And then, yeah, you have your pre-press lines, I'm assuming, and then no idea on these ones.
Yeah, that's there.
What was that?
I'm not quite they're two of them are all for the purging, when they blow back the lines after the propellant's loaded.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they separate those two systems.
Yeah, overall, I would say this is a lot more advanced system than what they had previously, which is nice to see. I don't think that they would have been able to. I don't think they would have taken the time to do this. It probably wasn't even an option had this explosion not happened. So I'd say things, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's also fun seeing each generation, all of their GSC advancements.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the way that everything is basically placed on skids. I want to see if I can find a better side angle of that. This might be a good one. Not really. Kind of. You can at least see the skids on here. These actually look very similar to, well, there's tons of these at the launch complex now, but these actually remind me of Pad A's launch mount, because these look very similar, except they're on actual skids instead of being bolted onto the actual structure. So really cool the way they are able to build these offsite and then just, come and bolt them into place and, then just connect all of the interconnecting pipe work, essentially. But really cool the way that this is basically coming together. And as I've mentioned previously, obviously the middle area will be completely covered, and then it'll be open on the sides. So kind of smart not having a fully enclosed structure, just so you don't have to worry about leaks building up, and there is some airflow through there, but overall protected from the front and on top. So even if half of a ship decides to land on top of this building, I think it'll probably come out pretty fine, considering the way that the platform on the trench turned out with how much landed on here. I think this being, if this is 6 inches thick and this is somewhere between 2 to 3 feet thick, imagine you could probably have a large portion of the ship land on top of this without worrying about it affecting the stuff inside. You still could have flames and, come in through the sides here. But as far as landing on the actual top of the structure, it seems like it's going to handle that a little bit better. The only thing that I would say is still relatively unprotected would be the deluge farm, and I'm not sure if they are going to do anything about that. I don't even think it's worth it, to tell you the truth.
No,
Um,
those tanks are fairly generic,
yeah,
and more than likely, given a chance, they'd probably replace this with the new system they have at Pad B.
right. It would be interesting though to see them put a roof over it, and then you could just have your vents coming out of the roof. But that would be quite a task.
Or
There's a lot of I don't know if there's electrical stuff down here. I'm imagining there is, but I think that would be a limiting factor. And then you do have electrical stuff going through this trench right here. Um,
It's funny, at the LNG plant, they have several of these tanks that they are encasing in a vault.
yeah, I did notice that actually. Let's just go back and check that out really quick.
I think it's
Further down,
yeah, yeah, right there.
down here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I guess they could theoretically do something like this. It looks like they're gonna have more tanks in these areas. But I feel like these are just for containment, right?
they're a little large. I'm assuming they're probably fire life safety or for their backup generators in case the worst happens. Just have that completely as an independent system.
Right. I guess that worst case scenario would probably be storm surge.
Yeah, yeah, just that's the one thing that the launch site is at risk of.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, still really, really cool to see these. So basically, you'll have, I'm assuming, the liquid oxygen side. You can actually see um, the brackets right here for pipework to go on top, basically. So I imagine the liquid oxygen will come up and go this way. Then all your methane stuff will go in this direction, and then you can see they also have these racks on top of connected to the walls right here too. So tons of work to actually get that stuff in here, and I'm hoping that they will not do the roof until all of this stuff is in here. But the thing I figured may prevent them from waiting would be the fact that you have to put a bunch of shoring in here in order to actually support that roof while you're doing that pour, because with how thick it's going to be, you definitely need some support from below. So I imagine it would be a little bit difficult to add that shoring in here with all of this stuff installed. So what are your thoughts on that, Alex?
Um, there's some interesting embed plates on the columns. I couldn't find if there's any correspond. Yeah, yeah. I was like, are they just gonna weld some I-beams that when they do the pour, or 'cause they're kind of high for pipe racks and everything else.
Yeah. Wish we could see these at ground level. Okay, yeah, because all of the racks are down at this level, so these are about like 4 feet above that almost.
Yeah, at least. I think this is deceptively a lot taller.
There is a good angle that puts into perspective how tall this is.
But I think they're gonna run all of the high pressure supply stuff at first across those top sidewalls. Yeah,
These over here.
yeah. I mean, traditionally you run the per process the from top down.
Yeah, I do think you're probably right. They'll have I-beams going across here, but they won't. They don't seem to go all the way to the top, as far as
Right.
for adding some additional support.
Yeah, they're probably just gonna have hanging racks.
I wonder why
Maybe
those
like
beams aren't already installed.
I think they just poured the formwork off of this week.
Okay,
Off the
so
com-
just, yeah, giving it some time to cure a little bit.
Definitely. And it's just shocking from week to week. The GSC crew, hats off.
Yeah, in my latest episode, I did give a shout out to the GSC team because it's just crazy the amount of stuff they're able to pull off in short periods of time, because it's really only been a few months already. And the fact that they were able to design this entire, the way they wanted this system to look in that shorter period of time in order to actually start construction as quickly as they did is pretty amazing. So, some of it, I would say not all of it had to be basically completely thought out right away. But at least having the general area where all of it was going to be located. And then, well, I guess most of it would have had to been fairly well completely designed because they laid all the conduit down before all of this. So they kind of had to have some idea of everything that was going to go in each of these areas ahead of time. So very, very impressive. And as far as the other protected structure over here, we can also see that they're extending the comms bunker, which makes sense. Wasn't sure if they would put the transformers, but now we can see that they're going outside of this building, which is essentially very similar to what's going on here as far as the structure goes. Actually, I think this was kind of built the same way as well. But yeah, it's basically extending a roof over this as well, and then all the transformers will be in these two locations. I think if I have a more overhead shot of this. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't really see it in this image. I don't know where it's at, but there was two sets of conduit that came up, one in this area and one in this area.
Right below the sticks, where right there.
Okay.
And the second transformer is over by the new GSC tent. By the yellow, right there.
That looks like it's
Oh,
all
yeah,
bad
you're
here.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
probably
it
on
may
a
not be in
flatbed.
location yet. Do we have a good shot of that area actually? Let's see. I don't know if we have a shot specifically of that area this week. But this is still a good view of it even from this far away. But yeah, really cool the way that they're taking advantage of this time to redo pretty much everything. So all of the electrical system of this entire facility has been redone. And so I think this is the central distribution center right here, basically, and this is where the 3-phase power comes in, basically right to this box down here. So then I think. Do you think there'll be transformers inside of here?
Probably, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the control gear and
Right.
data logging, because this looks to safe the site. It's as close to the entrance as you can get, and yeah, it's not quite as robust as the other bunker, but the board cube at Sanchez was built very similar to this.
Right. Yeah, this almost looks kind of like overkill, just given how far away it is from the test stand. But better safe than sorry.
When they fill those tanks with locks, that's kind of
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I would say they got kind of lucky last time that nothing ended up landing over here, because that could have been a even bigger situation if you actually got damage to one of these tanks.
Yeah, it was the locks front leadings at deflag that kind of was doing the most damage. As lighting
Right.
everything in its path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were just kind of lucky that it went to the tank farm rather
Then all the
than
way over
the
here.
yeah.
So moving on to the methane farm area, we can see that they're also going to be building a blast wall over here. So we can see the first signs of that right here. This is very similar to how they did the blast wall in front of the water deluge farm at Pad B. So you can see these basically right here. This is basically blocking off where that wall is going to go in the middle. Then they'll basically put that all the way along the length of this. I think I have an image that maybe shows the full length of that. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will probably come all the way down to this trench, or at least down to the edge of this wall right here. But I imagine it'll probably go further just so it. Well, if it comes to here, then it's still the angle from the test stand to the edge of this tank. It should protect most of that.
Right.
Yeah, I would say at this point, the most at-risk areas are going to be the deluge farm and the cryo stand for boosters. So I do wonder if we'll see some sort of wall protecting that. Theoretically, they could. I don't think they'll do that, though. I don't think they'll want to build a wall across like this because then it limits access to this area in here. And you still, well, as far as filling the tanks go, they can go around the backside. So theoretically, they could put a wall across here. I'm just not sure if it makes sense to do that.
Pretty much they can have all these lines purged, so. And again, it's one of those things where it's more checking a box off since there's so much can fly over the top.
Right. Oops, wrong picture. But looking at that methane farm, really cool. The progress that they're making over here. Still have a few more larger pieces of equipment to install. Missing 2 vaporizers down here in this area still. And then it looks like they're preparing to put another tank back here. So we can see this cutout down here. They got little rectangular rebar cage that they're about to drop in here. Alex is thinking that this would probably be a liquid nitrogen tank, right?
Yeah, if they're doing any reclamation for the methane and not flaring it, as well as for the reboilers for subchilling the methane.
Yeah, and then so we were kind of talking about this before the show, but it's interesting that they have 2 of these now. So these were basically like phase separators, right? So separating liquid from gas for methane. But I wonder why they have 2 of them, and if they're actually going to have a more complete reclamation system like they have at the launch complex, where they're actually liquefying methane instead of just sending it to this flare stack that's in the corner over here. But I think they may still use this.
Yeah, it's needs a couple of pieces of hardware. More than one.
Yeah, they'll have to redo the trench in between here, though, right? In order to, which I don't think they've done yet.
No, they haven't. And now it's really hard to tell where it popped up previously.
Yeah. But as far as the actual pump system goes for that methane farm, they are making some great progress here too. Again, really cool the way that they've gotten most of the stuff on skids that can basically come out and just be lifted into place and then have all of the pipes that connect them installed afterwards. So first of all, we have the heat exchangers right here for the methane pumps. So you have 2 methane pumps, 2 heat exchangers, and then for some reason it looks like they're potentially going to add 2 additional ones, or maybe they're just leaving themselves the ability to add some in the future. It'll be easier to just drop 2 heat exchangers onto here instead of having to change out a bunch of pipe work in order to enable that. But I can't really tell if it looks like they're actually planning to put those in. Oh, wait. Are these?
Those are probably for the manifold, right? Yeah.
This manifold?
Yeah. No, those are too tall for that. The one that one just in front of the tanks. The nitrogen. No, the other side. The bottom of the frame. The bottom of the frame. for that manifold, they still have it on a pipe jack.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. The short ones on the ground there are probably for the vent stack.
Okay. And they don't have the vent stack here yet, right?
It's the back those two valves right there for the
Oh, sorry.
for,
I was thinking of the box that they have over at the Box Farm.
They have that on the Lux farm. Even at the pad, the volume of nitrogen they're getting from the methane side is substantially lower. So they've
Right.
just been venting it straight to atmosphere.
Okay. Yeah, so this will basically be the vent stack right here, and this side will be connected right there, essentially.
Exactly. And yeah, it looks like it's for future proof because everything is flanged off that they'd extend for the 2 more tanks or for the 2 more reboilers.
Right. Only weird thing about that is that they don't have room to add. They basically seems like they can add 2 additional, or at least 1 additional methane pump right here, but they won't be able to on this side because of the way that these pipe racks are set up. So yeah, very interesting. Then we have I think this is for methane. Do they actually color code these?
No,
It just happens to be that way.
Yeah, I've always wondered why they use the 2 different actuators. They have the air torque and the the red ones.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the fill point where it heads off to the vehicle. On the GSC gantry, there's 2 enormous ones.
So this will be basically in here, probably in this area.
Yeah, that's where I'd expect it to be.
Right.
And there'll be a matching pair for the lock side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's the universal bellows for the pump outlet. It goes on the pump rack right there.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, they do have 1 methane pump installed. Still waiting on the other. I think they all that stuff should already be here because they basically pulled that out of the previous bunker that they had for this.
Yeah, and one of the drivers is down right there on the pallet, right in the yeah.
Oh, here's the vent stack for this.
Oh yeah. Every time I look, find something new.
Right. So they have started piping up all of the connectors that go into this methane tank, and then this is something I've been wanting to ask Alex about. Do you have any idea why they still are keeping the 2 vertical methane tanks?
No, actually, unless they're doing something tricky where no, they're not. That wouldn't make sense. They might just want the extra volume, or they're using it for. They might be replacing the verticals with one of these because right to the right they have the high pressure pumps for vaporizing.
CLPVs.
Yeah.
CLPV load. Yeah.
Yeah, there's this 2 sets of piston compressors.
Which is interesting because they still have the old ones over there.
I know.
Yeah. So yeah, cool progress on the methane farm. We'll keep moving over a little bit. Where do we have next? I guess we'll go to the booster cryo station next. Actually, Matt, do we have any questions so far for Massie's?
We do, and we have a few donations as well. Want to thank Will for becoming a new flight support member. Want to thank Methane Man for sending 5 gifted memberships. And we also have Rich R sent a $100 donation on Patreon yesterday. Says expenses. Thanks for all you do, Mauricio. So thank you very much for that, Rich R. So as far as questions, we do have a lot. Give me 1 second here. Okay, now Bandian asks, How has Massie's blast protection been upgraded for a potential future explosion? Is it enough to keep the damage limited if a new explosion happens to keep the testing going?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say for the most part, all of the things that we just mentioned, as far as having this actual, all of your most of your cryo lines in the trench. I'm assuming this blast wall will probably be, uh, if I had to guess, the height of these tanks, maybe.
Pretty close to, if not.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't make sense to have it any shorter than that. So this should be fairly tall. Then all of your electrical systems are and comms are in these two bunkers, and then all of your GSE stuff is in these. So I would say, kind of, as far as what I've said previously, the biggest things that are going to be at risk would be the deluge farm. The one thing that you're not really able to protect is the actual trench itself. So, in the event of another repeat incident, you'll still probably have the same damage to the test stand and the flame bucket in the trench. Um, uh, I imagine the gantry will be a bit more protected, but still being that close to an explosion like that, I would still expect there to be significant damage to this. I mean, it is pretty heavy duty as far as the supports on this, but still, that's a very, very large explosion. I'm not sure if this would withstand that or not.
Yeah, the only thing I could see them doing different, if they could, would put the gantry on the side with the vault, because then they could use that as a sort of a primary sacrificial structure, because it's looking like they're treating it kind of like as I say like a million times, Pad B2s, where all the that is on the lower level, and then you're just having the pipe runs to the vehicle.
On the top.
Yeah. So that structure is sort of sacrificial because, like you said, there's no real way to protect it.
Yeah, so I would say in the event of another similar explosion, there's still going to be a bit of rework that has to be done, but nowhere near as much as they're doing right now. So I'd be willing to say that they'd probably cut the time in half, if not a little bit more. Um, the flame trench stuff though is still, they've been working on that for months now, repairing the actual flame bucket, and it's difficult to tell their progress on that. But yeah, I mean, I imagine that is, no matter what, going to take quite a bit of time to repair that stuff. And it's not like they're having to work in one area then move over to the next. They have crews for each area basically. So it's not like they're manpower limited out here. They're basically have as many people as they can possibly have without stepping on each other's toes, basically. So
They still have room to work on all the other V3 test gear.
right. They still have a ton of people down here too. You could see that they're when I came down here a few weeks ago. Yeah, they're parked all the way down here on both sides, and then they're filling up all the parking areas in here as well too. So absolutely massive workforce in here. Um, I'd say we know for sure that that's not going to happen, and the reason we know that is because of the vertical supports for the gantry, which are right here. So you could tell that it's going to step up. So it won't, if these were basically, you know, you could tell that this is basically a step up. So this will be on the, I don't know how to describe it without just pointing at it. Oops. Yeah, so there's this step right here, and so one of the legs will be mounted here, and then the other one will be down here. So we can pretty much guarantee that it's not going to be in that area. um,
November, December.
yeah, I would say it's still at least 2 months out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For the old, I believe it's for the old can crusher testing some of the transfer tube, common dome
Yeah.
interface.
I guess we can. I'll answer. We can. I was gonna wait until we got to the um, build site, but we can go ahead
True.
and talk about that now. So this is that 18.3 test tank, and we don't know right now if this is the full test tank. So this is basically a booster forward section. Then you have a common dome right here, and then actually, I should have talked to Nick about this before the show. We don't know if there's another dome down here. Given the way this is reinforced, there could be, but I don't think there is. I think there would be a solid weld line, a double weld line like what we see in between here. I'm sure I'll get a DM from Nick if they're watching this. But yeah, so this is a booster forward. And then it's basically a mini booster. So the question is whether or not these will be mounted on top of another section, which if so, will be an aft section. So you'll basically have, like I said, a mini booster with 2 tanks. And I suppose it's possible that this could be used for testing the GSE of the for pad B. But right now, I would say it's mainly a structural test article, primarily for the forward section of the booster. On that same note, though, I think they could test the forward section of the booster without making this a 2-section vehicle, so without 2 tanks. So I suppose it is possible that this could be used on Pad B, but I mean, yeah, it would be a good purpose for it instead of having to put Booster 18 on there. This was actually something I mentioned in my episode about Massie's. That they basically used Booster 4 to test Pad A's launch mount. So that basically got them around having to make a test article that could integrate with all of the Raptor QDs and all that. So this could be a change in process that they're doing this time around. Instead of using a full-sized vehicle, they could just use a test tank like this. But I don't know if it will. I'm not sure if it will have the ability to fully interact with Pad B or not. We really have to wait until we see the aft section of this to see if it has the full, all of the, basically a real booster aft section, or if it's basically something that's only in test mode that can't necessarily be used outside of structural testing, which in some cases there are 2 different things. But what are your thoughts on this, Alex?
Test tank for the structural stand, because that lower doublers looks like how they reinforce it for where it sits on the stand, so that when they get their failure mode, it's on the section they're testing.
So you're thinking that they won't put an aft section on this?
Probably not, because the where your cursor is, where it's all doubled up with stringers and everything else, looks very much how previously they had those fake like the ship aft that they would when they were
Right.
testing the hot suit. It's very reminiscent of that level of reinforcement, at least in my eye.
Yeah,
But
no. I have
Nick
a
was around.
yeah. This is basically what it would look like um, if they don't install anything else on it as far as another aft section. So this is basically what it looks like. So that dome is the skirt is pretty tall, I would say, but that does give room for actuators to be underneath here, I would say. Um, and if we look at this test structure right here, um, the can crusher, which is being reconfigured. So there is some debate on whether or not this is going to be for that test article or if this is for a ship aft section that they're preparing for. Um, I do imagine that for testing the hot stage ring, they'll probably want to use this cap, if I had to guess. And
Right.
it makes a little bit more sense for it to be in here than it does in on the can crusher. So yeah, I would say it could go either way. But after talking to Nick this morning, I'm a little bit more convinced that this is for testing the version 3 ship aft section.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's actually really weird. And I do have some images that I can, I guess, show. Well, here's one, first of all, that I was suggesting to Nick. So this is when we saw the hot stage ring for the version 2 booster when it was being tested. They put a hole through the forward dome, which allowed the actuators that were in the inside, they could put cables. I can't remember where those cables connected to, but the cables basically came up through this dome. Do I have images of that? No, I don't. So the cables came up through here and they connected to actuators that were in the middle of the can crusher, similar to how they are right now. So I think there is a possibility for this type of setup, but that would be assuming that there is a hole through this common dome currently, which I imagine there might be, unless they're planning to actually fill this tank, which they probably are. Then there may or may not be a hole through there. But the other thing that Nick pointed out when I was talking to them today was that the engines for the V3 ship have been reconfigured in a different position, as far as we know, and they may be actually testing this. So the actuators for the TVC, you have two of those basically, and basically these could be paired up for those actuators. So this would be engine 1, 2, and 3 right here. So one of these for each actuator. But I'm not so sure I believe that.
They're not symmetrical.
Yeah. But this is similar to how the engine layout for the center engines on the booster, basically. And if you look at the way that this is turned right here for this actuator, I have a feeling that Nick might be right about that, because it basically creates the same angle between these.
Right.
So
yeah, they would definitely know more than. And
yeah,
there's also some large steel pieces that are being fabricated around the site.
these.
There's those, and over by the new GSC tent. They're right by the tree. There you can see one of them on the right side.
Let's see if I can get a better. I really don't think we have a better shot of that, but I can try. This is at least closer.
Yeah, on the yeah, it's.
Did you see a better image? Oh, there we go.
There we go. Yeah, those look like legs
These?
of some sort. No, they right next to it. Those look like legs of some sort. And then down on that dirt section by the below that crane that's peeking boom that's peeking up out. Yeah, right there. There's So there's definitely more structural stands components being worked on.
Interesting.
Yeah, but this one
I-
looks like it's nearly complete. They did paint that substructure, which is kind of...
I don't see any pads over here for those legs to be mounted to.
No, and that does look just like a booster parking area.
Yeah, it
The
does,
new-
but I do think these are going to go down there. I mean, it wouldn't. There's not pads for all of these mounting points.
They'll just
for all
put
these
a plate
pedestals.
steel.
Maybe this will just stay here.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of interesting developments.
Yeah,
Keep an
for
eye
sure.
on.
So we did kind of. Yeah, sure.
All right. So, next question's from Mark. Would the static fire stand have to be changed or modified for Block 4?
So right now they're building this for the version 3 ship. So I mean, we don't know if any of that stuff will change as far as like the QD and whatnot for version 4, but I imagine that is something that will probably stay the same. If anything, it may just be a stretch version of the V3. So I imagine they're probably trying to plan ahead as far as the QD and whatnot goes. So with that said, I don't think there'll be too much change. Really, all this needs to do is support a taller ship. So I don't think that'll probably be too much change. I think the biggest change between all the versions is between version 2 and 3. Yeah, 3 and 4 will probably not be as big of a change as far as the aft section of the ship goes.
Yeah, my thoughts as well. All right. We have a question from Cows King. How long do we expect B18.1 to stay at Massey's?
Till they need the stand again.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if they're gonna put 18.3 here, then this will probably, they don't necessarily have a reason to move it yet. But as soon as they need to put 18.3 here, then they'll probably get this out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a parking spot already, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I suppose technically you can go right here.
Its transport stand strangely disappeared this week by Mega Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I looked, I couldn't find it here, so it probably went in. Probably one of the 18.3 might use it.
Why is this here?
I don't know. To keep the other stand companies that's been sitting by the between the LOX tanks and the nitrogen tanks for 2 years.
Which one?
Right at the top of frame by that one.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
All right. So, K Paten asks, what's the voltage of the 3-phase lines coming in at Massey's?
I do not know that off the top of my head. I knew it at one point when I did an episode about the 3-phase, and honestly, I've forgotten so many things that I've done in the past that I'd have to go back and rewatch my own episode in order to answer that off the top of my head.
38 or 66. Though there's rumors that the launch site is 130 something or other.
But that's after they step it down, right?
Up or down, I forget it. Transformers, I think, are backwards. Yeah. I don't know where, I don't know where they're stepping it. Because I thought the lines from Brownsville were mid-level distribution. I don't think there's a 100 plus. Yeah, I think they're 66 or 38. And if Dave Avery was around, he knows all that like the back of his hand.
Yeah, I would
All
have
good.
to go through and recheck that.
Yeah, no big deal. So Adrian Rivero asks, is there any indication that this new layout at Massie's allows for a future second flame trench with the methane farm in the middle?
I would say we can confirm that's not going to happen. The only way they could do that is if they built it right here, which I suppose is not impossible, but they don't have access to this land currently, so that would be the limiting factor. I don't think it's necessary for them to have a second static fire test stand. The operations that they do, it's basically the ship will show up, spend one day getting connected, do the static fire over the next 2 days, and then come back. So it only takes 4 days. And then if you have 25 launches per year, you only need basically that's 100 days that you're basically having that space being taken up. So plenty of, even if you have to static fire a ship again after a launch, then you only need basically 200 days that's going to be taken up each year. So I don't think they will need a second static fire stand.
Yeah, if anything, I would see them breaking up the process and making a variation of like the proof station that could do the initial pressurization tests and just use a stand for hot fires.
I can't believe I just busted out the calculator for that. Oh man. Anyways,
Habit.
Cool. Any more questions?
Yeah, just a few more real quick. Cool. Tony Ugg, this one's a little difficult, so we'll see if we can figure this one out. He asks, is that hot staging ring dome, the 18.3, a tank dome or an extra? If so, what's in between the domes? Not sure exactly what he's asking.
As far as we know, this is the forward dome and the hot stage dome. So, forward heat shield and forward dome at the same time. We don't see any welds for another dome, so you can see the two welds right here, for the common dome. So like basically your common dome, let's say you have, it's basically flat right for about a few inches. So you're able to double up welds like that. And we don't see any dome welds anywhere else on this forward section right here. So that means that the heat shield and forward dome are the same thing. So I'm assuming they have gotten enough information from testing the hot stage ring now to know that, it'll survive this direct contact over a certain period of because it's really only, a few, like 1 or 2 seconds that it's actually in direct contact with that plume, probably even less. So yeah, I'm assuming they've gotten enough data somehow from that to know that this will survive. I'm assuming also that this is a lot thicker than the regular 4mm sections. So if I had to guess, this is probably at least 12 millimeters, if not more. You can kind of tell that just with the material, the difference in material right here. It's probably a lot thicker than what people think it is.
And the welds look like it was a V. So it was a much thicker piece of steel.
Right.
And there's a lot better ventilation for the gases to escape.
Right.
And I think they just use the RVAX for the initial push.
And while we're on this test article, we have a hot topic. 3 separate people asked the same question. How are they going to control the flip of this booster? Are they going to put something in the way, or kind of like they did with the last staging ring, or what are they going to do you think?
So I think Elon's already answered this one, that it will basically be, maybe Dan answered it, but they mentioned that it'll be controlled using differential thrust from the RVAX. So basically you'll have probably the 2 front RVACs will ignite first, followed by the third one. And by having more thrust in the 2 in the front, then it'll push it away from this. I kind of explained this when the first hot stage ring was introduced. I put an episode about that out, and I explained basically that they were using a combination of the grid fins and differential thrust from the ship. And as it turned out, they weren't doing differential thrust from the ship. Well, I suppose they were, but they weren't able to control it as much as you would think they were. So it ended up causing it to flip in random directions. But I think now they plan to have more control over that, which will allow them to actually use the differential thrust like I assumed they were doing from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be easiest. Just force it.
Yeah.
That's everything so far.
Cool. So I guess we'll continue on with the cryo station, where they have gotten their. It looks like they're getting close to finishing with the 2 QDs for the booster. So they do have the large flex hoses in now. They did have all of the smaller ones in previously, but yeah, it looks like they're going to be ready to go as soon as that booster is ready, or long before it's ready. What is this?
They have 3 large legs like that.
Yeah.
And I like
Did we ever
this
figure out
new
why?
map. No, they might just be fail safes because they're definitely, you sort of get that tripod for the initial balancing it when it's
Trying to find a more top-down view of that, but yeah, like I said, looks like they're getting close. They have all of their high pressure lines going to this as well. I don't know if they're going to install some. I don't think they're going to do any like additional shielding on this, but they do have some more pipe racks extending down in this direction. So I think there may be something else that is still yet to come over here.
or is that no? I can't tell if that's newer from the previous.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, these are the old ones for the previous QD right here.
There's so much not my job itis here.
Yeah, I'm assuming once everything else is finished here, they'll start cleaning up and removing things that are no longer needed. Yeah, tons of great progress on that though. And also the last remaining thing I guess we have over here would be the liquid oxygen side of the pump system. So I thought I had a top-down view of that. This is a good one. Wow, yeah, this is an amazing shot. So they're still working on electrical stuff back here, but you can see they have the pumps down here, or sorry, at least the platforms for the pumps. Yeah, and Alex, what are your thoughts on this? Why are they going with two smaller pumps instead of one large one?
Flow control for the proofing, and I kind of think they're also doing cryogenic treatments of the tanks, and that's why some of the when you're watching them, the initial proof tests, they'll frost up really quick, then frost down. The gas manifold on the super crusher kind of leads me to think that they're doing, dry cryogenic heat treatments. So for small pumps, you'll definitely have a much more dynamic range of volumes to put in the tanks.
Yeah, and this right here isn't capped off, so I'm wondering if there'll be 2 additional pumps here. Or
Last week, it looked like they had 2 more offshoots for conduits coming this way.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same thing as the methane side where they're just future proofing, or they just needed 2 pump assemblies for the initial testing. Because Yeah, like the orbital farm, they were testing it with 2 pumps for months.
Yeah. One interesting thing we did see down here, which is similar to what we saw at the launch site, they do have a box down here, which will basically have a, I'm guessing the fan will be on this side going into the box, more than likely. And then there's another piece to this. Over here. Wait, is that the same size? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this will basically go on top of that. And then all of your vents will come in through the side of it. So basically all of the vents from the heat exchangers will go into this. So there'll be one common manifold that connects to this. If I had to guess, it may actually end up looking similar to this one right here, just a big T, and then go straight into this box.
Yeah.
Not be surprised if that thing is already out here somewhere. I'm gonna look for it. Oh man,
Right.
I could almost see it. This would be a good one. Dang it. There's got to be an angle that shows that area. Here we go. Not quite.
No. It's probably the GSC building at Sanchez.
Yeah, good point. Maybe I'll see it there when we go to Sanchez. But yeah, so really good progress on that. And in general, it's still a bit confusing the way that some of this is laid out right now. I'm a big fan of the change. I'm not a big fan of the flow path because it's just really awkward. You got all of your locks having to come down this way to these pumps and then back out both through to both of these stations and then in this direction back to the methane or the static fire stand. So bit interesting the way they chose to lay this out. I don't get why they didn't just replace. And that's another interesting question, Alex. What are your thoughts on what they're going to do with the existing LOX pumps?
I hope.
There's so many angles that sometimes it's hard to find exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah, what do you think they're going to do with the existing LOX pumps?
Hopefully move the liquid nitrogen up here. I think they're going.
You think they'll get rid of these?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't already. I mean, surely they're not going to do like a 2-stage system, right? Where they're boosting
God,
these pumps.
I hope not. There's something really odd with the manifold going to the subcoolers.
Yeah, I guess we'll probably talk about that. Figure that stuff out on another time, and then bring it back up on the show since we're
Right.
we're already an hour and a half in, and we haven't left Sanchez, or Massie's.
Yeah. And the liquid nitrogen tank again.
Yeah.
Let's hold that off.
Cool. So, do we have any other questions from Massie's before we move on?
I believe we knocked through them all. Give me 1 second. Nope, that's everything.
Cool. I wonder if they're going to do something with this area down here, if it'll just remain parking or if they'll actually, because they have so much parking here now with that tent being moved. I wonder if we'll see something else go down in this area.
More testing stations.
That would actually be kind of cool to see another. Well, they'd have to go underground with that pipework, which is not a huge deal, but if they wanted to put another cryo testing station, I can imagine another ship cryo testing station, but even that seems like overkill to me, so maybe not.
Back-to-back flame trenches. No, I'm joking. Horrible idea.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, in that case, we will go ahead and move over to Sanchez. while we're here, I'm going to look and see if I can see that GSE building parking lot. Oh. Do we not have one of that this week? Maybe not.
I didn't. BJ said he didn't find it. So
Well, they might be hiding stuff from us this week then.
I'm sure they are.
This is like the hardest area to look at thumbnails and know exactly where you're looking at. But we will start down in this corner then. Maybe this gets us further down. No, not really. Cool. So yeah, booster transport stand. Not a ton of progress with this. But yeah, they don't need it until booster 18 is ready to go. And even then, they won't need it until after it finishes its cryo test. So taking their time on that. We do have another test stand, or not test stand, but some sort of transport stand being built. I think this... What are your thoughts on this one? To me, this looks like for a payload bay. And, one of the cool things is thanks to being able to see not only some of the sections roll out of the Star Factory, but some of the views that we got from Everyday Astronaut when he did his last little interview with Elon in the Star Factory, able to actually see what some of these stands are used for. So this one, I have a feeling this is probably for the full nose cone section. So I think to me this looks like the Pez dispenser would be right here, and then you have access on either side of it, basically.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's the 4 legs are on the bottom of right there. So they'll have those big casters like everything else. But it definitely looks like the payload.
Yeah. And completed payload with that Pez dispenser on it, because I think there's another one for just the regular. I think they'd use a normal ring stand for the payload bay before it's integrated. Well, actually, now that I think about it, they integrate that Pez dispenser before stacking the nose cone. So this may be that stand that they do that on. This, I don't know what the height of this thing is, but if the Pez dispenser is flush with the bottom of that ring or not, I'd have to go ask Nick about that here in a little bit. But this may allow them to just set that down on here, and then it's like at the perfect height for them to attach it to the however they attach it to the walls of the payload bay.
Yeah, because that center spine definitely looks. You have the access in the middle, so
Right. Let's see, what else do we have down here?
Not much has changed.
We almost can see over there. Yeah, still got the ring wall stand for ship static fires, which is waiting for booster 15 to do its static fire test before they bust this thing back out. And then I'm assuming that'll be hopefully the last time we ever see it.
Hopefully goes straight to the scrapyard.
Yeah. And this area right here, which is where they've been staging a lot of stuff for Massies, is mostly cleared out. They still have some pipe stands down here, but other than that, all of the skids that were previously in this area have been moved out. I don't think I have any other good shots of that. Maybe this one? Yeah. Have there been any additional thoughts on what this is?
My only opposite one, possibly for stabilizing the Pez loader, because its center of balance will be shifting as they're moving Starlinks in and out. Depending how much they want to use, they don't want to use a ship to stabilize it. So if they slowly, not quite rocket, but they can sort of change the pivot point of where the load spreader is holding it up. But
yeah,
because it's only one axis, and most of those are you have 2 axis. You have was it Y and Z or X? Yeah, what?
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if this is. I've been wondering if this is connected to this at all as well.
Yeah, because they look similar to the torque rods on the sticks, but they're too short.
Yeah. What else at Sanchez? Let's see. Still have the additional cladding for the bunker that is waiting to be moved to the launch site. So I imagine these will be the last things to move. These are all the basically top and corner edge pieces. So I'm really excited to see these installed, and we'll get a good view of the stuff they have installed so far in that when we get to the launch site. What else?
Bottom of frame. There's the clamp doors are starting to show up.
Right. Yeah. So these are the doors for the hold down clamps, which are, you can see the hold down clamps right here for pad B. And these will basically go, I guess I will give us a little sneak peek of that. Uh-oh, can't see my thumbnails. There we go. Okay, so most of these are covered up right here, but there are little slots in between on the outside of each of the hold down arms. So those will basically be where those are mounted. I don't think there's any angles where we can actually see any of those this week because they do have all this tarp up. You can kind of see one right there. So that's where those doors will go. I wonder if they've started to install any of these right now. There's so much work that they're doing in here, and it's okay. This is a really good angle, so you can see those slots right here. So very interesting the way those are. They're very similar to the doors on the booster QD. I did think for some reason that these opened the opposite direction for some reason. That this would be able to be like a walking platform for them to access the booster QD, but was definitely wrong about that. So go back to Sanchez really quick. So yeah, that's the first 3 doors to arrive. I imagine there may be some more under these tents possibly. But yeah, really cool to see those show up. That's a nice final touch that we've been waiting on, and I imagine it's not going to be very simple to just put those in place. I think there's some actuators. Oh, okay. Where am I? Some actuators that are used on these as well too. I can't really tell where they mount at.
Looks like there's something right on that edge.
This edge?
Yeah, right there. There's 2
little holes right there.
Yeah. 3 more showed up today.
Oh, did somebody get a good shot of them on a truck or something?
Yeah, Gazer had some.
Nice.
Yeah, they're quite substantial.
Post them. That'll be cool to see those.
Yeah, I hope he tweets them out.
I didn't see those when I was looking through there this morning. Oh, there they are. Cool. Yeah, well, I will wait for him to tweet those out maybe, and then we'll be able to show them if he happens to post them during the show, but I have a feeling he will not. So, yeah, still cool to see those show up. Good progress for the launch mount. Definitely getting into the final steps on that. What else at Sanchez? They moved so much out of here.
I'm speculating with that fleet of welders that just showed up that maybe just next week they'll be starting the end of the SQD arm.
Interesting. Yeah, we've been waiting for a while to see them do that. They should be able to do that in this space right here. Yeah, I can't really imagine what else they were waiting on for as far as structures go. That probably makes sense for them to start that finally.
Yeah. It looks like there's those ladder racks there that maybe they're going to be for the large cryojet pipe supports. but
Yeah, and they've actually, do you think they would go on top?
I'm not sure without seeing the arm, because all those skids seem like they're at the same level as the pipes were on Pad A's,
Right. Hmm.
and since it looks like they're using the lower mounts on the tower, it seems like the only place they could be is across the top.
Right. That would make sense. But they're also not wide enough for multiple pipes to go across unless these are parallel to each other across this. So
Yeah.
that could be a possibility.
It'll be an adventure.
Yeah, it's interesting that you even like pointed those out, because that's something that I probably would not have even like gave a second thought to.
It's
Let's
too many
see.
years of looking for their breadcrumbs.
Right. Not much over in this area. It's basically just crane and SPMT storage lot. Not a lot in the scrapping area, although it is interesting to still see this forward section that we were talking about earlier. It's funny that I went back to find images of this, but it's still sitting here right now.
Yeah, and that's the one that looks like it's full of extra stringers.
This one.
Yeah, it sort of has that ship 26 feel.
I still haven't gotten rid of the building that all the generators were housed in, so this is weird. I think they're still gutting some stuff in there, but I personally expect this to come down soon. But they have added additional Tesla megapacks down here. Was this last week, or did these just arrive this week?
I think the Transformers were there, but I don't think they landed those yet.
Okay. Yeah, I did some speculating that these may move to launch site, but it seems like they're actually going to be expanding this. I have a feeling there'll probably be even more. I don't think. You think they'll put two next to each other right here, or do they need more space between them?
That's what they did with the existings. And it looks like on the left one, there's those. Yeah, those look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if they're going to move their portable generators here and open up. Yeah, because is that wire racks they're building? Is that new?
These?
Yeah. Or they
I think so.
Yeah, there's that corner piece. So yeah, they might move their generators there
here.
and then expand.
Like move these ones over here?
Yeah, and then expand their treatment plant.
Huh. I wonder why they got rid of the other generators for these instead. Really curious.
Yeah. They might be the micro gas turbines that they like using at data centers.
Yeah, these are really weird. And I wonder what these are down here.
Fuel tanks, it looks like.
Huh. Well, that would make sense.
No, they have doors on the bottom.
Down here?
Yeah, don't those look like?
Not really. I think that's like a placard or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I'm not sure if there's really much else to talk about at Sanchez right now. The Rocket Garden's still doing Rocket Garden things. Be curious to see what happens with Booster 17 if they end up keeping that. I don't think there's necessarily a reason to, since they have Booster 14, which is in the Mega Bay right now, getting new engines installed on, or not new engines, but I guess the word is ITAR-proof engines on them, so that it can be stored in the Rocket Garden. But it'll be interesting to find out if the Rocket Garden stays here, and we'll. Well, I don't know if we'll be able to touch on that. Actually, now that I think about it,
probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about all there is for Sanchez. Do we have any questions on Sanchez before we move over?
We do not.
Perfect. All right, well, let's go ahead and move over to the build site, where the Gigabay Foundation is coming together pretty fast. They started with this corner over here a few weeks ago, or was it last week? Or 2 weeks ago, maybe. Yeah, so they went from here, and then they skipped over this zone right here and did this one, and then this one was a few days ago, and as of this morning, they just poured this one right here. So they're moving super fast with that, and I believe right now they're probably doing all of the rebar for this section right here. I'm actually just glanced over at the Lab Padre camera, and I don't think I think it's still in the same condition right now.
It'll either be that corner or the op diagonal.
This one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird the way that they kind of start some areas. I guess they have to because it goes through to the next zone. But it's weird the way they start some areas like this. I'm honestly thinking this might be the next one.
That's what it would look like it should be, but and I think those Highway 4 corners might be the last ones because they're going
Because
to
they
have
gotta
to.
look like this.
Yeah, and they put those tubes protecting the rebar coming up for those piles.
Yeah. So yeah, because you gotta keep access for all the concrete trucks to come in. I do imagine that eventually when they uncover this one, the concrete trucks will be able to come in through here.
Right.
But maybe they won't want them to do that.
Or the transfer aisle little piece.
Right. Through here, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of designed for that.
But tons of good progress. I think they just did these. This was
Yes,
the
that's what that
binding
truck
layers.
was.
They're
Yeah, that
pouring.
truck that was just pouring those. I think it did all of those blending layers
These
because
ones too.
yeah.
Yeah. So great progress on this, and they're moving super fast. I don't know how long it'll take for them to catch the Gigabay in Florida, but at this rate, they're catching them pretty quickly. I don't think they've even finished pouring all of the ones for the Gigabay in Florida yet. So at least in the middle transfer aisle for sure, I don't think they finished those. But yeah, tons of great progress on this. It's insane how fast they're moving. And if you look at the Lab Padre or NSF cameras down there, you'll see a ton of guys down there. Just so many of them working all day long. Basically 24-hour operations to get all this stuff done. So massive progress. And I wish I would have asked BJ before the show like what their count is on concrete trucks so far, because it's just insane how many they bring in in this section that they just did. Sorry, I was trying to find a good angle of it, a better angle of it. This section right here is just so big compared to these other ones that they just did. So I can only imagine how much concrete is in this area right here alone.
280 or 380. It was a sizable percentage of what they were doing at Pad B.
Yeah, that's a massive slab.
Yeah. Pretty sure there's more concrete here than at Pad B and the new OLIT foundation.
Yeah. That's pretty insane. Do you have any idea what these, why they have the CFA piles in the front of these? I was been thinking that the whatever kind of motor they use for the turntables would sit right here, but I can't really make sense out of why they have that kind of, because it wouldn't make sense to put a crane there right in the front of it. So
No, and then the row next to Star Factory has
three.
Yeah, it's no idea. I originally was no, they might put a crane there. No, they won't. That's on the transfer aisle side. My bad.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, not much to talk about this, even though it's cool to see. Like I said, tons of progress on that. Elsewhere in the productions,
It's going to
well,
be a grade beam across the front to support the front of the work area. Yeah, there's going to be, it'll be encased, but there's a grade beam that's going to go connecting those front piles across the entire section to help stabilize the front of those walls.
then why not put them all the way across though?
There's no load, so it's just doing a moment transfer, rotational
Okay,
transfer.
that
Yeah.
makes sense. Curious why some of them have 3 going across.
Since we'll carry some of the loading, I'm assuming those are going to be, the turntables are going to be on that row for when they're doing the full welds. I mean, for the boosters.
Yeah.
So what's going to be heavier, a booster or a stretch ship?
Probably a booster. Let's see. Elsewhere at the near the mega bays, they're still working on these platforms that they have going in for the new workstation for the ship. The basically engine install station, the one that they installed a few weeks ago. So they're got these platforms basically going all the way to the top, and they've been building these out for several weeks now. And I mean, we can never really see them when they install them, because they're so low to the ground. It's hard to see them when they roll by. But they've had these the sky cranes in there basically every single day. I'm assuming working on this. So they're building out that workstation extremely fast, and you can actually probably get an idea of how long it's going to take for them to do each workstation in the Gigabay based on the speed that they're doing this right now. This is probably the fastest they've built out one of those stations, though, because with pretty much all the other ones, they did them in phases because they realized along the way that they wanted to add different things. But now they've kind of got an idea of what they want each station to look like, so they're able to do all of it at once, which is pretty cool how fast they're knocking those out. We can't really see into the bays this week, I don't think.
No. Thanks, easy.
Can't get lucky all the time.
Nope.
Yeah, we still haven't figured out what this is about.
Viewing platform. Wrong answers only.
Let's see. I don't think there's anything else really to discuss down here. Neither with the Star Factory. We can take a look at the Star Factory, but I don't think there's anything new going on down there.
It grew a Starlink dome above the launch room on the far left or right front. Yeah, right.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. Other than that, no real changes.
Does it look like they're going to put a second one there?
Probably.
Yeah. Nothing new down in this area either. Really just storage for pedestal cranes, which gives you an idea of how many workstations are still unfinished because they receive all these pedestal cranes earlier than pretty much everything else. And they just, what is that, snow?
We were trying to figure that out. Either they dumped out an ice tray. Yeah, it looks like just ground up ice.
Huh. Yeah. Because even ice doesn't normally look like that when you pile it up. That looks like almost hail or actual
Snow.
snow. So that's really weird.
It does look like snow on a edge of a parking lot.
Yeah. Let's see. Down in the offload area, I don't think there's anything really to mention down here, other than the fact that it's fully operational now. Got trucks offloading into the dock right here, which is, I'm sure they're really happy they finally have. Nothing down in this area either. Do have some TPS tiles,
Finally.
right? It's been a while since we've seen those outside. Yeah. Let's see. I'll keep moving us over to the village. I know some of y'all want to see some progress with the apartment building. So definitely making some good progress on that. Is this another level or is this just the roof right here? This is just
I
the
think
roof,
that's
right?
the roof. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, all prefab on this. So it comes together extremely fast. And they're building obviously in two different sections, got to connect them. And I think, okay, sorry. So yeah, then they have this section right here on this side and then one more over here. So yeah, got a ways to go on that, but it's definitely making some good progress. It's actually be pretty cool when they finish it.
Yeah, I think it's going to look a lot better than very Soviet brutalist structure.
Yeah. And that reminds me, I don't think we looked at Rio West, but I'll go and just show that here in a little bit. But yeah, not much else to discuss in the village. You know, same stuff as always. Not a ton going on down here, although they are building something in this area. Not sure what that is. Kind of looks like I don't know, just like an outdoor park, possibly. With like,
Yeah.
Could be a playground or something.
yeah.
Mario truck.
And I'll just go ahead and show Rio West really quick for those who wanted to see that. So yeah, this is that other tiny home village that they made. Obviously, the Ad Astra building down here. The school coming along well. I don't think there was anything in the storage lot that we.
I think there's 3 more skids on the right side.
These ones.
Yeah. But that's about.
Yeah.
You can see where my mind's at.
Yep. Now we're here at Rio West. They're making some good progress on the rec center down here. Still, obviously, see that pool down in the corner. This is actually a lot more impressive on the ground than it is from the air, in my opinion, because if you've ever driven past this, like, it just looks really, really good. And these houses are way larger than you would expect them to be when you view them from the ground. But yeah, so coming along pretty well. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I think we can probably go ahead and move over to the launch site, actually, unless we have some questions from the build site that we didn't touch on.
We do. We have one quick one from Liam Donald. How long do you think it'll be until we start seeing steel for the Gigabay? Will it be made in sections and craned in like the others?
I believe it's going to be stick built. They're using tower cranes, and you couldn't lift those sections with a tower crane.
Yeah, so there'll be 4 tower cranes, one right here, one right there, and then I think here you can see the base of that crane right there, and then there'll be one more right here. So yeah, 4 tower cranes. Cool. Any more?
I did see one other one. Nose Cone Jail asks, what is going to be the height limit for the new Gigabay?
I'm not sure. I remember seeing it in the document, but I can't remember off the top of my head. but we'll know it'll be a little bit bigger than the version 4 booster.
I want to say it was 380-ish, maybe, but I might be wildly off.
Yeah, the number in my head was 480, but I think that's actually the what's the integration tower? I don't
I thought it
know.
was,
I
yeah.
have to keep all these numbers written down on like a statistics pad. I don't have them off the top of my head, unfortunately.
If they're building it, I would have it, but right now it's been flushed
Yeah.
out of cash.
We need an RGV cheat sheet.
Right.
Right? Seriously.
Cool. Well, I guess in that case, I'll go ahead and move us over to the launch site.
Yes, sir. And we did get a final number on the amount of concrete trucks so far. It was 346.
For that one area.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane. I think when you combine the other two areas that have already been finished and the one that they did today, it's probably just over 1,200 then, or somewhere around that, between 1,000 and 1,200. Cool.
Yes,
So now we're at the air separation plant across from the launch site, and this site just continues to get more and more confusing every week. I don't really know what to think about it. What are your thoughts, Alex? The way that they've done the piles around the edge like this, and I don't think they did them in these areas.
No, I think it's for the blast wall. They're going to put blast walls similar to what Pad B has by the deluge.
So it's not like they're going to put a trench all the way around like this?
They might, but it'll be one of the walls, I think, will be probably 20, 25 feet tall. I know there's a dock floating around, but again, numbers in my memory today are trash.
Yeah, because I mean, if it is a trench going all the way around, I don't get why that would be necessary, and I still don't even understand this one, to tell you the truth. It's really, really odd to me.
Yeah, because at the other Brownsville site, they have everything, all the pipeways are
Above ground.
elevated.
Yeah.
Pretty substantially too. So flipping it upside down, especially since these are very modular systems. But that really does look like it's going to be a very large culvert for.
And this wall looks pretty thick too.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No. And it doesn't look like there's any way to connect a lid to the opposite side. Yeah, the whole thing is bizarro.
Yeah. So yeah, with that said, I'll move us over to the orbital tank farm, which honestly I don't know if they've done anything over the past few weeks. It seems like they've mostly been like it's mostly finished in its current stage right now. Obviously they're going to be doing a lot more when it comes to after the next launch. I think we'll start seeing some major changes down here after Flight 11 because they'll, I'm assuming, begin the expansion work. And for those who aren't aware of that expansion work, they are basically expanding all this light gray area is the expansion pretty much. So pretty much everything that's down below this line right here, it doesn't exist currently. So that is a very, very large expansion. I don't know if they've had to do like a hearing on this or something like that, or if they know what the date that they'll start this is.
They're doing the public comment, but Army Corps of Engineers has basically said that they'd approve it pending what the public comment. So probably 6 months would be they'll issue the report, because it's very similar to when they gathered the little strip for Pad B.
Right.
They did a similar. It's the same verbiage and everything.
Yeah, there's some interesting things on this that I was kind of confused on, like water storage too. Um, I don't understand what that is.
Yeah, I
Where's water
don't know
storage?
if it's at the bottom, right? Yeah, in the 3 LNG liquefaction, I don't think are accurate. Because
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily make sense. Like why you
I
would
think
need
that
3 of
3.
them.
Yeah, because the CH4, liquid CH4 on that, in the written portion, it says that's where they're putting storage tanks, which for methane, which sort of makes sense because it's kind of as far away from everything. And with their deal with the liquefaction plant across the harbor, I'm imagining they could either pipe it in or that'll be a very interesting process.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this turns out. And even though they have this where the tank farm is right now, I guess most of the stuff will end up staying. Um, I'm assuming the pumps will move at minimum, since they have the heat exchanger and tank farm expansion right here. I'm assuming. I don't know if I'm curious what parts will move over here because with the way that this system is set up, maybe they'll duplicate it in this area. Um, but it's really difficult to understand how they're going to do this just based off of the layout. Because this technically is not just pumps; there are heat exchangers in there too. So, really weird how that's going. And right now they have the pumps for Pad B over here, and I'm assuming those are going to move, but they're obviously going to at least have a blast wall to protect that. Um, so yeah, that's going to look very interesting to say the least.
I,
Go ahead.
I think that heat exchanger and tank farm will be Pad A's duplicate of Pad B's pump farm. And I think a lot of this block diagram is, I wouldn't read into it too much. I mean, I think broad strokes is very accurate, but the further south you get, seems more and more dubious.
Yeah, the other weird thing is the staging pad, especially this one. Like this one kind of makes sense. So, for a staging pad, the only reason you need that is, excuse me, I think for ships mainly. So if you do back-to-back flights, you want to have a ship waiting to be put back on top of the booster. But this one is weird because it's like right across from the flame trench. So
some of those in the Florida submissions were their catch towers.
that would make sense,
And
except for being directly out the exit of the flame trench on this side.
I mean, yeah, it's half the distance of that amenities building that thankfully looks like it's going away. And that thing got wrecked from Pad A.
Which one?
Right, the triangle. Yeah, right
Oh,
there.
yeah, right.
Or if they experiment with landing legs, maybe it'll just be a landing pad.
That would
Be
be
the only,
interesting.
but that's the only. Again, that's. Let's wait for more docs because this just
Right.
seems. Let us use our entire site.
Yeah. But yeah, so as I was saying, I haven't really seen any new changes down here. What is this?
Shielding. I think they're
Or
putting it. And I don't know if it was here or they put that up for launch 9. I want to say. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Other than that, there's still got some work going on down here, but not a ton. Like I said, most of this seems like they're pretty much done with it in its current state. Even down here, the last thing they're basically haven't done is, oh, okay. Well, yeah, they've taken this out of testing mode, so they've added this little pipe back in here and this one right here, which was basically the difference between being in operational mode to the pad or testing mode where they're recircling back to the tanks. Other than that, they're just missing the last methane tank, and everything seems to be pretty much done for this tank farm. I haven't been seeing a ton of work going down in this area other than with the vaporizers. Oh, they did remove a few tanks that were down here.
Looks like the locks they're going to add to the LOX vaporizers where the old LOX pressure building tanks were.
Right, so expanding this down here.
Yeah, you can see the little embeds. Yes.
It's weird that it doesn't come all the way up to these ones, like, or maybe this is already a pad right here.
It might be. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just have those 5 or 6 in a row and moves the fill skiff from that tank. Because if you look in the dock, it looks like this is going to be where the tankers are going to come in and drive down. Right by right by the power building. Yeah.
So you think a lot of this stuff is going to move?
I think it's going to be sort of like the methane, where it's a single row of vaporizers instead of they're basically from this lock side towards the coast.
Move these down.
Exactly. But the other direction is going to stay the same as is, because this power bunker, I think, is the different where
it's in the document.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else from the tank farm? I'm pretty sure that was pretty much it.
That's it. Yeah, the only thing is it looks like they're using part of the old reclamation system with the new methane tanks, but
yeah,
that's kind of esoteric.
Got a couple of questions for the tank farm, if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is, why isn't the ASU on the site map? You think maybe they'll be swapping it over to move it down there?
No, I think it's joint run with Lind and SpaceX. I think, but I might not be.
Yeah, weird that it's not on there, but I wonder if it's possible that they drew this up before they did the ASU.
Well, and they probably don't have the ASU on there because it's not part of the plan that's being talked about. So my guess is they're probably just keeping it off for that reason.
Yeah.
And they needed it sooner rather than wait for this to go through the approval process. And I mean, it's probably going to be a multi-year project.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that roundabout is that I would say that they knew that all of this stuff was going to happen around the time before they did the roundabout. So it gives you an idea of how long ago they planned that.
Right. And it's them spinning up the land bank to offset the habitat loss here.
Right.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, Liam Donald asks, what land are they swapping in order to do this site expansion?
They purchased around 1,000 acres between the village and the build site, almost all the way to the harbor. And it's that, but of that 1,000 acres, they're only a very small portion of it is being, in pretty much everything on the left side of the village, all the way to the port. It's a very similar, so they can sort of do the one-for-one exchange, other than the much higher multiple where you don't have equivalent habitat to exchange.
Perfect. So now we have Missing Tools asked, was it announced that SpaceX will get a feed from Rio Grande LNG or Rio Bravo pipeline project?
I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah, we did mention that at the beginning of the show that there's more than likely going to be a pipeline. I wish I had the map that showed the options for it. I do not have it in front of me though, unfortunately. But yeah, they did show a few different options for how that pipeline would reach, and it seems like part of it may go to Massie's, and then the one leg will go to Massie's, and then the second leg will go to the launch site. And we're basically deciding if it's going to go from Massie's to the launch site or directly, or one leg to Massie's and then another one directly to the launch site. So yeah, I think that's still up in the air though, from my understanding.
Yeah, early on when they're starting that project, there is a large pipeline they put sort of in between near the port across the preserve. So those have been approved fairly easily. What I'm unsure of if they're just going to send gas and liquefy it on site, or if they're going to try and do a cryogenic pipeline.
I have a feeling they won't do a cryogenic pipeline just because the LNG liquefaction. I think that's the sign that it's going to be a gas pipeline.
Yeah, the approval process, because I don't know of any LNG pipelines in the U.S. I know China has a few. I mean, a couple 1,000-mile is one of them.
Yeah.
But it gets very expensive because I think the 7 or 10 miles is kind of on the limit before you need to have another cooling section.
Right.
Yeah, that's basically it. Kai Nessel had asked if we could show the pipeline leading to the LNG plant, but we don't have one yet.
Yeah, I don't know how we would show that. Yeah, they already buried those lines, from my understanding. I remember when they installed those a long time ago, but they're buried, so I don't think you could see that.
Yeah, it's completely it looks natural.
Yeah, like there's somewhere, I think they came in
along
through here somewhere, and it may be on the front side right here entering, but I have no idea where it's at anymore. I'd have to go back and look at super old images in order to find that. But yeah, most pipelines are not visible. Like you can't just point them out. They usually put them below ground.
Yeah, there's just a little dig safe markers every quarter mile.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's everything for that area.
Cool. All right. Pad A, not a ton to talk about here. They are preparing for the static fire test of Booster 15 as of this morning. Booster 15 is now on the launch pad. Shout out to Starship Gazer for this image. So it rolled out late last night, and by the time the sun came up this morning, it was already on the pad. So they're ready to go with that. I think they're currently removing scaffolding right now. And I'm just looking over at the live stream cameras. They're removing scaffolding. Also from the live stream cameras, I can see that they moved Booster 18.3's forward section into Mega Bay 1 a little bit ago. So yeah, they're, like I said, preparing for that static fire test, which we will see in the coming days. I don't know if they have a testing. I don't think they have a closure date yet. I'm not sure. Oh, actually they do. I think September 7th, so tomorrow is what it looks like, from 5 a.m. to noon. So it'll be sometime in the morning tomorrow. So they're moving pretty quick. They want to get that done so that they can start retrofitting this again for ship 38's static fire test. So yeah, that'll be a one and done on the booster. Hopefully, everything will be good with that, and they can send it back for final outfitting. Which I don't think it necessarily has too much final outfitting, considering it's a reflight. So yeah, excited to see that static fire test tomorrow. I think really the only thing they would have left on that booster is potentially swap out any engines if necessary, and just put on the hot stage ring, and it should be ready to go. So the ship is definitely going to be the limiting factor, getting that test done. Like I said, cutting all those panels back off of the booster QD, taking off the clamps, putting on the adapters that they had for that, and then bringing the ring wall back out and adding all of the pipe racks that they had on here as well too, which this time shouldn't take too long since they basically kept all of that. They removed the entire structure instead of building it piece by piece. So yeah, that process should be somewhat fast. I expect that if booster 15 static fires tomorrow, then we'll probably see the ship in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Week and a half, maybe.
Probably take them a week to re-prep it.
Yeah.
That's about as long as it took, I think, for the second test they did on 37.
Right. And as far as we know, it does have its 38 does have its engines installed already. I don't know if they, I don't think they swapped any out already. So yeah, should be ready to go once Booster 15 is done with its testing. Other than that, not too much to talk about Pad A, other than its time is coming to an end. I think this will be its second to last static fire test ever. This will be actually the last booster static fire test ever. So that'll be one to watch for sure. It's kind of funny that the last static fire test on that launch mount will be from a ship.
Right?
Yeah.
It's fitting.
Yeah,
Was he-
for sure.
The best test stand ever.
Yep.
Real quick, we just got a $50 PayPal from Methane Man, sending fuel for the flights. Thank you so much, Methane Man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your support. On that note, if you guys haven't done so already, do us a favor and hit that like button. I always forget to mention that during the stream, but luckily I remembered today. So shout out to everybody who's already done that. I know there's about 1,000 of y'all in here, so go ahead and do us a favor if you haven't already. And moving on to the final part of the show, Pad B, which I really consider everything in this area, including that site, or including the integration tower and launch mount. What do they call this? The mega bunker is coming along.
Yeah.
So this, we're assuming, is going to be replacing, it's basically the comms bunker for the entire launch site, or at least Pad B launch site. So we don't know if they're going to keep this building right here, but I imagine it probably will be going away. And then this, I mean, it's just an eyesore, honestly. It's like, why is that there? But we're assuming anything that would have been in this building is going to move over here. So they're finishing up with the exterior of that structure right now, still doing some roofing work right here. And then they have the panels going on the floor, which will be the corrugated panels, which will be covered in concrete later. I think they may have windows on this side. Is that what I'm seeing here?
It's either going to be windows or it looks like almost a balcony.
I
Or it's
know
going
there's
to
a
be
balcony on that side, but the way that this is, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I see now.
Yeah, they'll have.
So yeah, and a canopy over the balcony, whereas on this side they don't.
Right.
Why?
I don't know. And I think this is a more northerly side, so it's not really as
Because
necessary.
they can. Because SpaceX.
They like their northern light, okay?
Yeah, I guess yeah, that's really weird, and definitely is a balcony. So this is
Yeah. The
interesting.
whatever the opposite of a parapet wall is.
Yeah, for sure. I did structural steel for a long time, and I've like once you leave that industry, it's hard to remember all the terms for everything. But yeah, reverse parapet wall, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I've said in previous weeks, I think this is kind of one of the limiting factors for when testing will begin on Pad B, because even though they have done testing of the actual pumps and the gas generator system, I think that they're not able to do combined testing, like fully automated testing yet, until all of that comm stuff is set up in this building. So that's going to be a little bit, and again, I could very well be wrong about that if they are still using all of that in here, but I don't think they are, because they ran a bunch of conduit to that building before. You can see all of the little stub outs right here for the conduit, and most of it's not used. Portions of it are, but most of it's not. So I think for some reason they got reached a point in this process, and then they were like, actually, we probably shouldn't be using this building for this. And they're building a way larger one. So I think the other weird thing about this is that they haven't already started demolishing this, but I think part of the reason they haven't is to allow them to do some of the testing that they've been doing. And at a certain point, I imagine they'll get rid of this building because they'll want to basically take this conduit and move it over to that building, which is also odd because I would think they would want to have this come out under the building, but I guess by having it on the outside of the building, then it gives them the opportunity to add additional conduit from what's already there if they decide to do that.
There's a gap between the wall and the slab, so
so things can come in through there.
Yeah, they did this on sections of Star Factory, where it looks like they put a bunch of electrical, but they weren't sure how it was going to land.
Yeah. I'm surprised there aren't cutouts in this yet. I guess that would be something that gets added later, but I'm assuming this will be a concrete roof, and there'll have to be a decent cooling system on this. So I wonder if where they'll put that. But that's something that they struggled with on the comms bunker for pad A.
Oh man.
Yeah, there was like a constant struggle fest with that on pad A. I was gonna show that really quick, but
yeah, the duct work.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about that. But yeah, so this will be interesting to see how they end up doing that, because I imagine it does need some sort of large cooling system on the roof, probably like this, but like 5 times larger.
At least.
Yeah. So other than that, the deluge farm.
But they're back.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay. So yeah, curious stuff on this. We've been wondering how they're filling these tanks. And as far as we know, there is a water pipeline coming in through here, but we can't see how it reaches the tanks. And right now, these stations right here are really weird because it almost looks like offloading stations for water. But I don't think it doesn't make sense, because you can't bring water trucks in here like that. So yeah.
Are they doing barreling water in?
Right? Like what? That doesn't make any sense at all. What if this is a fire suppression system spraying at this?
That's one of the ideas, that it is part of just that.
But that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I've racked my brain, and when it was taken off, I'm like, oh, maybe that's part of a manifold for their high pressure area, and no.
Man, yeah, we're gonna have to figure that one out. So yeah, they're still getting this tank set up. They have, I think, some of the manifolds for it down here, and they just haven't connected those yet. And we're still waiting on 2, or at least 1 additional tank within the near future, but 2 overall to be moved down here. And I think those tanks this manifold right here will supply 4 tanks, whereas this one supplies 3. And this will probably be like a T that splits off of this line right here and goes to these. And then they'll also in that situation probably end up adding more gas generators. Which is interesting. So they do have more ports for gas generators within these gaps down here, but it's interesting that they haven't started to add those in. I'm guessing obviously they don't need them yet until those tanks show up, but yeah, very curious.
Nothing is hooked up under those N2 tanks now. Its manifold is
this one
on. No, the water tanks by the blue telehandler on the lower left. it's not even in the right place.
Are you talking about this?
Yeah.
Oh, because it should be over here.
Yeah, it's.
So that's just the manifold for the 2 additional tanks when they show up, right?
3, because that's the one that has the Y in it. The plumbing under here is crazy.
Yeah, because it should go across like this.
Right.
Oh, actually, wait, there's the second line, right? That goes all the way to the end.
Yeah. And they're connected underneath the tanks, but
through a Y that goes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not really sure there's a ton else that they've done down here over the last week. They have done a lot of their pipe runs that come across here through the. Oh, wow. There's a third one.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, one's for the tower and one's for the Yeah,
but what's the third one for?
More of the high pressure. They might be doubling it up too, like 2 per. Because there's a 2 high pressures. I think there's a 200 and 350 bar. Yeah, and then there's helium. There's a handful of extras they have here.
Yeah, this whole thing makes a lot more sense now that they've got this down here, but it's still really crazy in general. Like they've definitely stepped up what they're doing for this. Like this, none of this existed for Pad A, as far as I know. I don't think they had these types of systems down there.
No, they didn't have much redundant valve assemblies. Some of this was on the roof of the fluid bunker. It's weird. It's much nicer.
Yeah. Let's see. Moving over to the actual launch mount. I guess we'll start with the tower first. So they are preparing for that ship QD arm at some point. They do have a bunch of scaffolding up near the mounting points for the actuators. And they're definitely doing some preparation for that installation, which should be I don't know, as soon as they finish that the other part of that arm, I'm assuming we'll start to see them do even more up here. Not sure how much more they need to do up there, to tell you the truth. But yeah, still same amount of cladding. They still have more cladding laying around that they haven't installed yet, but I think they're mostly focusing on this launch mount and the gantry right now. So starting with the gantry, we can see that they've added more of the cladding onto here. So it's looking like it's getting closer and closer to being done. They've, I think this week they've started coming up. I think they had like 1 or 2 down here, and so they've added more. What is going on over here? Oh, okay, that's just okay, yeah, they also did this area right here.
Yeah. Extended the 4 purge pipes.
Yeah, so they have a big purge system that goes out through this entire bunker, and they've added some more pipes for that over here, which, are these capped off on the end?
No, I think they're going to punch a hole through the panels that goes there.
Oh, so it can vent out?
Yeah. because I think they're going to purge the whole thing and keep it under pressure, or a little bit of positive pressure too. Hopefully.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is coming along really well. They've also added in some staircases this week going up. This is basically how they access the top deck of the launch mount, or not the top deck, but the interior of the top level, because there's 2 levels in the launch mount. And I think there should be another staircase down here
Yeah, I don't know.
to come down to this level, which
They have some that they're running up between the trench on the diagonal on both sides. But I thought that stairwell will go all the way down to the base level.
yeah. See if there's a better angle of this. There we go. Yeah, I don't think it should go through this floor though.
No,
No.
because they're keeping both sides. Basically, the LOX, the center, whereas for the LOX QD is they're splitting the methane on one side and the LOX on the other, and they're treating that. I think that whole lower level was two
Separate
sealed.
structures.
Yeah, sealed in places.
Interesting. Yeah, you can really get an idea of how cool this is going to look when it's finally done. They still have to install a few of the flex hoses for the QD, so it looks like most of the smaller ones are done. You can kind of see all of the You can see a lot of the smaller hoses have been installed in here. They still have some of the big ones that are missing, the big LOX hose. There's, I think, 2 on this side right here that still need to be done. And same thing over on the methane side. So, yeah, making great progress on that. Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, that's all the heating elements.
Okay. I thought those were for welding or something like that. Yeah,
They
difficult
are.
to tell. What are they doing in here right now? You have any idea?
I think they're reinforcing that upper edge where those doors are going to go. Because I think they had a rough idea, but I don't think they had the finished design. Because they probably for the last month and change, they've been doing a massive amount of welding on the upper lip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been doing so much work in there, and it's hard to actually see what it is they're doing.
I know Ryan he showed me a render of that upper level, and it's shockingly massive with the how much volume it is. So there's a ton
Are you
of work
talking
they
about
could.
the VR one that he did?
Yeah, between the 2 layers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Surprised he hasn't released that. He did a really cool VR experience walking through the upper deck, and it's insane how big it is in there.
Yeah, give him some love. Join his Patreon.
Oh, did he actually post it on Patreon?
No, I don't think so. But
Okay,
when he does,
he will soon.
yeah.
Let's see. So they've also finished the last diagonal part of the wall going up to on this corner. So they've finally done with that. I think there's a few more pieces for that on this side that are still missing.
Yeah.
Actually cover this pipe right here.
Yeah, but there's some of those covers at Sanchez. Yeah.
So all of this pipe work will be covered up as well too. And that is some of the last remaining things that we're going to see on the exterior of this. But yeah, it's really cool. It's getting to the point where they're actually installing final stuff like this. And, part of me was hoping that we would actually see all of this scaffolding removed before they did that, but I don't think we're going to get that lucky. They're basically removing scaffolding as they're installing these panels. So, That is kind of sad to me. But yeah, it's still really cool to see them finishing that up. Elsewhere on the outside of the structure, still about the same as far as concrete work goes. They're still doing this collection pond right here, which is curious to me. Not sure if it's going to go deeper than what it is currently because I don't think this wall goes very deep right now.
No, I think it's pretty pointless, but
Yeah. One of the more odd things that they have going on here.
of course you have the groundwater seeping, so yeah.
Yeah. I think there might be this probably be a really cool place for a camera.
I think there will be, because, I mean, why they ran that much conduit
Yeah.
to that corner is crazy.
Yeah. I hope there's a camera down here too, because I feel like you could pull it off.
I'm pretty sure we're going to, from the lower level in the corners, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some camera shots
Yeah.
from just below the OLM.
I'm really excited to see that. So they are still putting some additional paneling up too, some basically burn panels that are going basically on the legs of the launch mount. So the legs are like right down here. We can't really see them from this angle, but they're covering the legs because there's a gap between the legs and the wall. So they're basically covering that up. So there's not that gap in between there anymore. Well, the gap will still exist, but it'll be covered basically. So that's some of the final paneling they're putting down there. But I think other than that, the only remaining paneling that will go down here is whatever is going to cover this. So we'll see this covered somehow. And I'm not sure how that'll work because they'll still want water to be able to flow into there. And that's the same thing on the other side as well too, which I don't think we're able to see that. I think it's still...
Scaffolding's blocking.
Yeah. So we're not going to be able to really see that side. But yeah, it looks absolutely amazing. And much of the concrete has been finished. I think really the only areas missing concrete are this space right here still. And then...
They're redoing some that they put down.
yeah,
sort
were
of
they
temporary.
ripping that up? Like down here?
Yeah, it was temporary. They didn't put any rebar in it.
This part right here?
Yeah, even that fresh poured section, I believe, was ripped up earlier.
Really?
Yeah, because for the transport of the ships and stuff.
Oh, wait. So you're saying they redid this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been, because they didn't do their sand layer and their geotech. They pretty much just put some formwork and poured it right on the existing ground.
Just to be able to move the ship through there?
Yeah, and the booster for...
Right. So then we're still waiting to see this area filled in as well too. Man, other than that, like most of the concrete work is done. And also down in this area. I'm assuming there's going to be something else down in this area at some point. Or I wonder if it's just going to be an open triangle down here.
It really looks like they're what they had on the diagram they're implementing for whatever's water storage 2 is.
Yeah, I don't get what that means. I
I
wonder if
don't.
there'll be water tanks that are like smaller water tanks that they transfer from there to here or something like that. Yeah, that's really weird. Let's see. Anything else from Pad B that I missed?
The lower on the sticks. Did they
Oh
put
yeah.
stabilizer?
Yeah, so we can see those stabilizer arms on the chopsticks now. I'm waiting forever for those to get installed. It's been like, what's taking so long?
Right. It looks
We have
so
a good
good.
siding, all that. This is one. Yeah, they've had the scaffolding up on those sticks for a long time, and it's really difficult to see what they've been doing. But yeah, they do finally have those stabilizer arms, and that's One of the last remaining things that we've been waiting for on the chopsticks, other than that, the biggest thing remaining, I would say, is still the ship QD arm.
Yeah, very much looking the final push.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure I missed
Yeah.
something, but
And we've got a few questions too, if you're ready for them.
yeah, let's go ahead.
All right. So one of the biggest things they're talking about is Zack moving into the mega bunker?
Nope. I already have a new office. If you guys haven't checked out the last 2 episodes, yeah, I have a new office already in Mega Bay 1, so I don't really necessarily have a reason to move out of that currently until they tear that building down. So yeah, this would be not a fun place to be. Oh, mega bunker over there. Yeah, no, I think there's gonna be a bunch of computers and switch gear and stuff in there. So nah.
Well, congratulations on the one you do have. I'm sure a lot of us would love to be able to go up there. So let's see what else we got. Daniel asks, will Pad 2 have a detonation suppression system similar to the one on Pad 1?
Yes. It's probably not needed, but they do have from the Flamex, there is one of the lines is going up to the underside of the ring.
Better safe than sorry.
Well, it looks like they're collecting all the chill, so less likely to happen. Yeah, the second pipe is yeah, that one's the one that goes under the launch mount.
Nice. And Schizo Quark has a question basically along the same lines. What are your thoughts or insights on mitigation of a detonation scenario of accumulated combustible gases at Pad 2 within the trench, within the mount cavities, etc.?
Currently, it looks like they're setting up for a substantial gas purge of all the enclosed spaces. Because, like, there's the 4 large exhaust pipes that are starting to protrude from down there, and that's the lower level is primary, where they're doing all the gas switching for the QDs, and it's there is a blast wall separating the two, or at least a very heavy wall separating the 2 halves of the building. So, and the rings, the OLM should not have any of propellant, shouldn't be leaking into it since everything is, yeah, from the QDs.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that could happen in there is hydraulic leak. And yeah, that's about it, really.
Massive amount of hydraulics, but hydraulic fluid isn't the easiest stuff to try and get burning.
It actually is.
Isn't that volatile?
I've seen so many hydraulic fires that I've seen, yeah, I have so many videos on my phone of millions of dollars of equipment burning to the ground from hydraulic fires. It's not even funny.
The ether I
That was like,
consider flammable.
that was like the thing I looked forward to most at work is fires. Like every time we had fires like once a month. They were always small ones, but I was always hoping this time's gonna be the big one.
Once the hydraulic fluid starts burning, it's over.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Any more questions?
We do. Crane Man asks, why is the shielding on Tower A and Tower B different at the base? Says Tower B looks higher and has more gaps.
Well, Tower B is fully encased in steel, and it is taller. The base is taller. I would just say it's just a iteration. You know, it's technically taller, but not really at the same time. It's I think it's like 3 or 4 meters taller, maybe. But in comparison to the top of the launch deck, it is actually taller. There's a It's taller from basically the top of the launch deck to the top of the tower. There's more there's more height on pad B than there is on pad A. But yeah, I mean, this was just built completely different. They learned a lot of lessons from it, and those lessons went into what they did with pad B. So fully encased steel. Other than the actual surrounding pad, there is no exposed concrete anywhere between these two structures. So yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest differences between these two buildings.
Yeah, and between when they shipped it from Florida and built the tower base, it it originally was going to be like pad A's because they had all the embeds and stuff, and those just were scrapped
Yeah.
when it got here. Yeah, and yeah, that's the biggest difference is the launch mount is significantly lower. Not significantly, but it's a lot lower than pad A's.
So, Crane Man is wondering about those 13 pipes next to the deluge tank, the one we were kind of talking about a little bit ago. He was wondering what they were, and wondering if maybe they could be part of fire X or fire extinguisher. Not sure exactly what he says.
Yeah, I mean that was one thing that we suggested. Other than that, we don't really know. Um, yeah, I'm not. Other than what we've already speculated, I'm not sure what we could add to that. Alex and I have been thinking about this for months now, what this would be used for, and yeah, really no idea. I mean, it could be fire suppression to spray down over to this area, but I don't know. It's odd. If it was for this, I would expect it to be raised a little bit more so it could spray down on this area. Um, yeah,
And spray automatic concrete spray down.
yeah, and I would also expect it to have full coverage on this instead of just over in this area right here. So, um, yeah, no idea. Your guess is as good as ours on these right now.
I hear you there. So we have another question. Well, this one's a general question for you, Zach. They're wondering, what do you do for work? You work for a oil gas drilling company or what?
Hydraulic fracturing. Yeah, been doing that for the last 3 years. So yeah, I think I've explained it in a few episodes, and I've talked about it online a few times as well too. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing for quite a while now. So a lot of my experience with propellant related stuff, I guess, comes from that. Yeah. No, the chill down sequence stuff, that all of that will be collected and diverted back to the tank farm. So we won't really see it. We won't really see it. You won't really be able to tell when the um, chill down sequence is starting like you would on pad A.
Except for the ship side off, they'll probably be venting off the top.
Nope.
Oh, collecting it too.
Based on what we've seen at Massie's, then probably not, right?
Yeah, true. God, that'll
Actually,
be glorious. And there's only 3 lines here.
yeah. So I guess the ship will still vent like it did before. Sad.
Yeah, very sad.
But I think that'll only be on this tower. On when they redo Pad A's tower, I'm assuming that won't happen anymore, and it probably definitely won't happen in Florida.
Yeah, because with the new ship QD, I think it's with the refueling, it's going to be the same. You're going to get the vapor collection for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically everything we've got.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. I was really glad that I was able to make it onto the show today. There's always a ton of stuff to talk about, especially with Massie. So it's fun to be able to go through that with y'all. I fortunately didn't have as much time to go through it myself before the show today because I was been working on some other stuff. So thanks you to Alex for being here with me and filling in a lot of the gaps for me. Because really super helpful as always. Also, thanks to Matt for handling all the questions and donations. Hopefully, Astro Joe will be able to get his microphone situation figured out at some point, so you don't have to multitask quite as hard. But yeah, doing a great job for us, so thank you for that. Also, huge thanks to Mauricio, as always, for getting up there and taking all of these images every week. It's really amazing, you know, five years in a row having all of this stuff. Wait, six years, seven. Yeah, 7 years basically of flyover images. We're approaching the 8th year. So yeah, been really amazing to go through all of this stuff and really grateful for it. Also, thanks to all the mods in the chat and everybody in the back channels. Appreciate all of y'all for your help. And yeah, if you guys would like to join us for the show and tells in the future, we always do show and tells the day of the flyover. So sometimes end up going a little bit deeper into topics there. Then you can ask questions similar to here, but you know, in the actual voice chat. So make sure to join us there if you guys would like to. And with that, I guess I will pass it off to Alex.
Thank you, Zach. It's always fun to be on the show with you, and I'll let you know a secret. You could have spent all night looking at Massie's, and we would have missed 80% of everything that's happening there. So, and thanks for thanking everybody to save me from trying to remember everybody. And until next time, off to you, Matt.
I am here. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. This was Starbase Weekly, episode 167. We appreciate having you here, and we hope to see you next week. Most engines cut off. Hot staging confirmed. Love you. Bye.